Yeah, welcome to this video. Playing a 15-minute game for a change against Luther 2176 with the French flag. Let's see, Benko or Benoni? No, Benoni. Yeah, against the Benoni you have quite a wide choice. This is a line that I quite often get from the h3 King's Indian. Black usually takes and plays a rookie a check. This recently had been tested in a game. This e takes with Morozovich playing black. I don't really understand b5 here. E takes d, and what exactly is the compensation? Alright, so he will probably give rookie a check, otherwise I even understand it less.
Check.
So yeah, okay, I can play various moves actually. I can play bishop e3 even. Maybe knight e4. Or I can even move the king if I want. King f1, it's not bad. Very often you can just play g3 or g4 and play king g2 next, and everything's fine. Bishop e2 is also a possibility, which is the simple move, and not bad probably, but I actually like that one. After knight e4, for example, I can play queen c2. I can fight for the e4 square. After bishop e2, knight e4, he gets active with this knight, and I'm not able to easily retreat to c3. So king f1 tries to control e4 better. And as mentioned, I always have the idea to play a g4. There's also a line, if black doesn't blunder or whatever this pawn with b5 and just takes on d5 and gives the check, so this position without b5, knight b5, even then king f1 is a pretty decent move. So a6, I just return. So I simply have the position I mentioned, with black having lost the b pawn for nothing. Okay, knight d7. So just g3 or g4. G4 quite often it's not bad at all, winning space, but keep it simple. I can just get the king to g2. Yeah, okay, now white just needs to be precise, then white should win this. What I of course need to make sure of is that I get my queen side developed properly. The rook on b8 and the bishop on g7 make it somewhat difficult to play b3. But the problem with this b5 move is also that the pawn, it's not just a pawn, it makes the queen side here completely rigid. There are there's no way to open up the queen side, and it is a very safe position here. I only yeah, hard to understand. Knight h7 now. I don't know. Well, what I want to do is I want to get out of this diagonal and just play b3, which secures the queen side perfectly, and then I can actually start to trade down pieces to a winning endgame. b3 immediately was possible as well. But I've got time here. There's absolutely no need to rush with anything here. The question is still, what's my best setup for the pieces. Bishop here, for example, on c1. There are many possible ideas. You can put it on f4, d2, or b2. b2 is not a bad spot. I mean, the long diagonal. Maybe I can at one point exchange those pieces. Bishop f4 is always keeping some pressure on the d6 pawn. Okay, now he's playing knight e5. How to go about that now? Maybe knight e4. This actually looks good. This is why b3 and rook b1 is a good idea. If he now takes with the pawn, I can take on c5. I mean, maybe he's doing that anyway, but yeah, maybe he should actually. Bishop e5 is yeah, bishop e5 is very yeah, how to put it? It doesn't really give white anything to think about. Can just continue to trade down. If the pawn takes knight c5, f5, well, I don't know. It's maybe some way to screw this up. All right, just taken. Yeah, let's just take this. And now f4. f4 and g4. I can play f5. Yeah, I can just put the rooks on the e file. Should be simple. And knight to f3 to get to a good spot here. Now h4, hanging e5, hanging. Yeah, probably he will take here on g3, giving up the exchange. Yeah, but I can just recapture. This is much simpler than taking on e5. If he takes on e1 now, it's just this pretty hopeless position, a pawn down and full of weaknesses. And I don't want to take and allow e5, e4, stuff like that. I can just continue without grabbing the material, or let's say I only want to grab it if I'm sure that it's actually winning. I can queen to h6 is a good idea. Yeah, I don't know, maybe I should really take it at some point. I'd like to... Isn't there some way now to use the pin? If I take e5 with the rook, takes queen c3, then rook e1. Yeah, I will get e5. This is good. I'm sorry. Yeah, this is good. I'll get e5. I take with the rook, not with the knight, because in this position here with rook e1 coming, I'm attacking it 3 times, which I cannot accomplish with after taking with the knight. Just one tempo short. Here I will just get e5. He cannot prevent it. And then I'm 2 pawns up and still dominate. Yeah, rook e5 next. Pretty much whatever he's doing. Yeah, he needs to take now. And after queen takes, it's an endgame with 2 pawns. Okay, this is also a possibility, of course.
Check.
Yeah, no need to look for anything fancy here. Just trade down to the winning end game. Okay, so he doesn't want to trade more, understandably. Well, maybe h4 looks good. Fixing the pawns here on g6 and f5, a good positional move. And it also allows knight g5, which I wanted to play now. Does it have any drawbacks? No, probably not. Knight g4, I can play queen e6 check.
Check.
And then bishop e2 to kick the knight back. Yeah, threatening to take it, probably knight f6, and then I'll play bishop f3, intending d6. Well, I'm not sure if d6 needs to be timed properly, but it's no need to rush anything here. Can also think about this knight. It's not so sure that the knight is so well placed here on g5. Well, maybe it is. Knight e6 coming. Yeah, I need to, after knight f6, maybe just queen e5 and knight e6. It's very strong. Yeah. Clearing this square e6 for the knight. So how to play this now? Is there some direct way? G4 maybe. He doesn't have a check or anything. G4. Intending G5. Can just take now here. He's in a pin. Or is there something better? Probably not. Yeah, it's a pin here on the knight. Very hard to move for black without losing material straight away. Yeah. Okay. But still, there's no way to mate h5 maybe. Okay, but he can take on e6. Don't want that. Knight g5 or knight f4. Yeah, many good moves. Yeah, of course, I'd like to find a mate, a forced mate, but it's maybe not possible. Sometimes it looks dreadful, but there is no mate. Okay, I'd like to play bishop e6 here. Maybe there was a mate, but I didn't find one. Okay, but check here. He's in the same ugly pin
check
as before. King g7. I even have knight h5. Knight h5. So he needs to go to h7. And then probably just knight h5 now. Knight h5, knight takes, queen d8. He only has a check then on f4, a single check. He's taking his sweet time.
Black resigns.
Yeah, it's simple. You cannot play b5. It's just giving away a pawn for zip and pip, for just nothing. Just for comparison's sake, if you look at this, b5 is what you played. The normal move is this one.
Check.
Rook e8 check, and here the best move is bishop e3, but there's also king f1. It's not a bad move. And if you now compare to the game, he played b5, I took, takes, rook e8, king f1, and then he played a6, I drop back. And this is exactly the same position as before. There's only the b7 pawn missing. And this position with the b7 pawn is probably still slightly more comfortable for white, and just with the pawn missing, it amounts to a win basically. If you don't screw up or blunder a piece or something, it's just a pawn, and it's also the possibility of playing b5 is always somehow in this position, and without the b pawn obviously there's none of that. But yeah, here pretty quickly it was apparent that black doesn't have any play for this. I was a bit more concerned about this here. I mean, not overly worried, but let's say f5 e4. For example, if I take here, he maybe has the possibility to get those moves in. And this knight, I don't know, it doesn't have a good return square. There's no objective compensation, but maybe you can yeah, try to stir up some trouble. I actually would have thought about not taking on c5, maybe h4, knight g5 or something. I don't know, but probably taking is the best. Also because after a move like that, there's always this possibility of to return a pawn. It's not great for black, but I was more concerned about that, but because here it's simply a position where there's no counterplay at all. Yeah, and here I just didn't want to take. I mean, I can, but like this here, let's say here, and then queen to e5, knight f6. There is probably no play, no real play, but it wasn't necessary. This way it was a good control, and here winning the e5 pawn was just leading to a pretty simple endgame win. Yeah, in general this Benoni is not too great for black. I mean, it's the problem is that after this capture, here, if white would be obliged to take with the c pawn, we would transpose into the modern main line of the modern Benoni, which of course is a very valid try for white for an advantage. Probably he also has one, but not a great one. Black, for example, can play b5 here, which is a correct sacrifice. Very complicated stuff. I don't want to get into details, but the real problem of this move order is not the modern Benoni, but really this e takes d5, where black after rook e8, bishop e3 suffers a bit from this slightly inferior structure, with the d6 pawn being a weakness, white having the space, and it's not a terrible position for black. I'm not saying that, but it's if you play the Benoni, you actually usually try to get some activity going, and this is just slightly passive and very often a very joyless task of defense for black. Also, there's always this somewhat bad endgame looming over your head if you have some exchanges and you suffer from this lack of space. Alright, yeah, thanks for watching this game.